Charlo, who is he gonna go with?
Who gives a fuck? His top 2 fighters lost. He trash at this point. Nobody give a fuck about that nigga. I don't know how he won Coach of the Year, Trainer of the Year, whatever the fuck he was.
Trainer of the Year.
That nigga's garbage. So at the end of the day, you need some new fighters. The best fight that we probably want to see is your 2 fighters against each other. I don't even want to see Charlo against Bud, because Bud's a monster.
Yo, what's good, everyone? This is Ayo Boxing from Adiba, and we're here to talk about if Derrick James is an overrated trainer. So as we all know, Jermell Charlo lost to Canelo Alvarez this past weekend in an embarrassing performance. Charlo came for a check and just to survive rather than chase greatness and fight to win. It was a disappointing performance, and Charlo is getting a lot of criticism for it, which is well deserved. However, Derrick James has also received a lot of criticism from fans. There's a new narrative gaining momentum that Derrick James is an overrated trainer that finally got exposed. This narrative first appeared when Errol Spence got dominated by Terence Crawford, and back then I understood why some fans were saying it. Spence and Crawford were rivals with a history. Both of their trainers talk shit to each other, especially during the press conferences. So it's only natural for Crawford fans and some boxing fans to talk some shit after the fight. But with Charlo losing the way he did, people are now believing this narrative and are actively pushing the narrative. The question is Derrick James really overrated? The answer is no. This is a classic example of boxing fans being fake and fickle. Because last year, Derrick James was the trainer of the year. Everybody loved Derrick James. You have to remember that Spence became a 3-belt unified champion after beating Ugas. Charlo became undisputed after beating Castaño, and Frank Martin defeated Michel Rivera, becoming the top prospect turned contender at lightweight. Because of those wins, everybody was saying that Derrick James was a great coach. He won Trainer of the Year and was considered the best trainer in boxing. But because Spence and Charlo lost this year and Frank had a close fight, all of a sudden, Derrick James is an overrated trainer? Spence and Charlo lost their biggest fights of their careers in bad ways. But why does one bad year or 2 bad fights have to define Derrick James as a trainer? The same exact thing happened to Eddie Reynoso. Reynoso was Trainer of the Year in 2021, Canelo went undisputed that year, Ryan Garcia beat Luke Campbell, and Oscar Valdez became a champion at 130. Reynoso was seen as the best trainer in boxing until 2022. Canelo lost to Bivol and had a lackluster performance against Triple G in the trilogy. Oscar Valdez got dominated by Shakur Stevenson, and Julio Cesar Martinez got taken to school by Chocolatito, and Ryan Garcia also left Eddie Reynoso. People were saying that Reynoso was overrated and got exposed last year. The truth is, trainers have bad fights and bad years, including all Hall of Fame trainers. One of Emmanuel Stewart's best fighters that he trained, Tommy Hearns, was stopped by both Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler, but no one dares to say that Stewart was overrated. You also have to remember that Derrick James is relatively new to boxing. He's not an established name like a Freddie Roach or Robert Garcia, guys who have been in the game for years that everyone knows, have trained multiple world champions in different generations, and has a large stable. From my understanding, Derrick James only became relevant for training Errol Spence and didn't become a mainstream prevalent trainer until Spence became a champion in 2017. That's 10 years as a professional trainer and 6 years of being considered one of the best. So based on those numbers, Derrick James is relatively new to most boxing fans and to the boxing world. So no, Derrick James is not overrated. However, he did get out-coached by Bomac in the Spence and Crawford fight, but when it comes to the Canelo-Charlo fight, a trainer cannot teach heart or courage. So I don't think that Derrick James should get heavily criticized for that fight. And when it comes to Frank Martin's last fight, it was Frank who wasn't following the instructions of his trainer. When Frank was actually listening to Derrick James, he was winning the rounds and winning the fight. But when he stopped doing what Derrick James told him to do, he was losing the fight. Hopefully, Derrick James can learn from these losses and update his training style, because I still think he's a good trainer. My concern, however, is Ryan Garcia and Anthony Joshua. Seeing both of their stablemates lose like that may affect their confidence, especially since they are new fighters to the stable. But who knows, this is boxing, anything can happen. But thank you for tuning in with Ayo Boxing with Madiba. Hit like, subscribe, and more content's coming your way.